Hey everybody, it is Monday morning and I'm going to shoot a little update here on the condition of my Tenopoma Eupterus. I've got a sick fish in this tank and I'm not sure what is going on with it. So there he is, he's floating up at the surface again, and today I can definitely tell that he is getting bloated. Up until now, I haven't been certain. It's kind of a fat fish to begin with. He's always been a little bit of a pork pie. So I've never really been able to decide whether or not he was, his belly was getting bloated. He definitely didn't seem as though he was having swim bladder issues. I still don't think he's having swim bladder issues. I'm just not sure what's going on. But he's definitely bloated. So last night I pulled him out of the tank and I gave him a 30-minute Epsom salts bath, hoping that would relieve the bloating a little bit, or perhaps if he's constipated, it would relieve the constipation. And when I came down this morning, he looks pretty much more bloated than he did last night. So I'm not really sure why he's bloated. I'm not really sure what's going on. Nothing in the tank has really changed. But he's not doing any better than he was last night after giving him his Epsom salts bath. So this morning I decided I would try to give him another 30-minute Epsom salts bath to see if I couldn't, help relieve him a little bit. And as soon as I opened the lid with the net in my hand, he went dashing down to the bottom. He was having none of that. So he's not, completely out of it. He is aware of what's going on. He understands what a fishnet is, and he knew what was happening when I opened the lid. And he wound up swimming down to the bottom. And up until now, he has not shown any signs really of floating. He showed signs of wanting to stay up at the surface, as though it was easier just to hang out there. But he's always been able to swim around and lay down at the bottom, and he's able to turn right side up if he wants to. And as of last night, I noticed that the behavior is very much more of a floating type of behavior. As soon as he stops moving, he starts drifting to the surface. Now, that was sort of happening before, but again, it looked more deliberate. It looked more like he was controlling his ascent. Now it looks like he's floating. If he wants to stay down in the water, he looks like he's struggling to do so. He has to actually swim and actively stay down in the water. And as soon as he stops moving his fins, he rolls right over and goes belly up. So I'm definitely beginning to believe that there is some air pockets in there. That could be intestinal. It could be swim bladder, probably swim bladder. But again, not really sure exactly what the deal is. I tried the Epsom salts bath. I probably will try it again later this evening. I might have some general cure. I don't really know what that would do. If he's got a swim bladder infection, maybe the general cure might help with the infection. I've been reluctant to medicate the fish because I don't like just randomly medicating animals when I don't even have any idea what's going on with them. But now that I can see he's a little bit bloated, and now that I can see he's definitely sort of floating, that gives me something to go on anyway. I'm just not sure what happened or why he suddenly developed this condition. You can kind of see how round his belly looks right there. We'll open the lid and see if we can't get a little bit better look at him, but he's probably going to dash away. So he's definitely, I'll say, breathing heavy, or, rapid respiration. It's not really respiration, but we'll call it that. You know what I mean. And again, that belly just looks big and fat and bloated. So, again, I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what would have caused that, but at least I've got something to go on now. So I got to get my day started. Yeah, see, he heard me close the lid that time. And now watch when he's down there. Before he was able to just relax and hang out on the bottom. But now, see, he's starting to sort of list over to one side. And he's kind of working his fins. And he's just sort of floating over. And see, he's kind of struggling now. So that definitely looks to me like there's an air pocket in there. He's swimming a lot more erratically. he does not look good at all. I really think we're down to probably the last few days of this fish being in the tank. Again, I just don't know what else to do other than the Epsom salts bath or possibly general cure. Now, the problem with pulling him out and medicating him in another tank is the only tank I have is a little 10-gallon quarantine tank. And while it is a cycled tank, it's a 10-gallon tank. It's, that nitrogen cycle is not equipped to handle that kind of bioload. Not to mention the fact that even when I put him in a dark bucket in a dark room last night, I could hear for a few minutes, the thumps and bumps on the inside of the bucket as he was thrashing around, in the new environment. So putting a big fish like this in a little 10-gallon, quarantine tank to medicate it, I'm really reluctant to do that. And medicating it in this tank, again, 125-gallon tank, I'd also be medicating all the other fish in the tank, and I'd be using a ton of medication. I just don't think that's a really viable option either. So I don't know what to do. I've never had any luck with fish when they get sick, and I've had swim bladder issues or whatever. I've never, ever, with the exception of ick, or something like that, a little bit of fungus or something, I've never had a fish get mysteriously sick and swimming funny and bloated. Nothing I've ever done has ever brought them back around and revived them and made them good again. I know it happens. I know people have done it. I'm sure someday it'll work for me. But so far, I've wasted a lot of time and money on medications and stuff over the years, and I've never had a fish pull through and come back for me. So I'm sort of emotionally already kind of writing this one off. If he survives, that's great. But at this point, I really don't expect him to. He's looking worse every day. He's really starting to get bloated in the belly now. And oddly, the very first thing I noticed that was wrong with him, I was doing a round the world update, and he was lying on the bottom. He was looking perfectly normal, except if you look at his two front barbels, you see how they're sticking straight out? Although at this point, they're actually so far straight out that they've all crossed over each other. That's what he was doing when he was lying on the bottom. Those barbels are either out to the sides a little bit, or they're moving around, checking out his environment. The way they were sticking straight out in front of him like they were stiff the other day was my very first clue that was just didn't look right to me. And slowly he's gotten worse and worse and worse. And over the last week or so, we're to this point. We're looking at what we're seeing now. So I don't have a lot of hope for him. But again, when I get home from work this afternoon, if I've got time, depending on how my day plays out, I will try to get him back in for another Epsom salts bath for whatever good that does. I know as far as for bloating, for various reasons, whether it's constipation or, just osmotic issues where he's actually just getting, in humans we'd call it edema, just swelling from fluid retention. An Epsom salts bath will actually help draw that excess fluid out if it is fluid retention. And, of course, if he's constipated, an Epsom salts bath will help get things moving along and relieve him that way. So other than that, as I said, I don't know what else to do. Any suggestions, and I'll certainly, listen to them. Don't know whether I'll take them or not, but I'll certainly listen to them. So feel free to make them. Leave any other comments you got. And I will catch you on the next one. Make sure you're subscribed, and don't forget this one here is my 125-gallon tank. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll have some more pleasant videos coming up in the very near future.